We're now passing Tranmere Beach, which is where many great ships came to be broken up, including the Great Eastern, designed by Isambard King and Brunel, and one of the biggest ships ever to be built. She carried over 3,000 passengers in luxury, as well as 6,000 tons of cargo. She had an amazing history. She laid the first Atlantic telephone cable, killed her first captain, and had 4 mutinies. She had 5 funnels, and her 6 masts were named after the days of the week, Monday to Saturday. The 4th mast, Thursday, became the flagpole of Liverpool Football Club at Anfield. Even as she was being broken up, she held a surprise. The skeleton of a worker was found who must have been trapped in her hull when she was being built. The long piers with the big gantry cranes on the river are part of the Tranmere oil terminal, which can handle tankers weighing up to 300,000 tonnes. More than 10 million tonnes of oil are discharged here every year, and then pumped 10 miles upriver to the oil refinery at Stanlow, the second largest refinery in England. We are now off Rock Ferry, which from the early 1820s became a popular residential area for Liverpool businessmen who took advantage of the ferry services to move home to the Wirral. Many made their homes in the newly built prestigious houses in the privately owned Rock Park fronting the river. As the century progressed, an esplanade was built linking Rock Ferry to New Ferry, and the area developed into a day-tripper resort. The American novelist and short story writer Nathaniel Hawthorne lived at Rock Park for 4 years during the 1850s, whilst working as the American consul in Liverpool. An extract from his diary reads, "At Rock Ferry there was a great throng forming a scene not unlike the 4th of July. There were bands with music and banners and a small procession after them, and a school of charity children enjoying the festival. And there was a club of respectable persons playing at bowls on the bowling green of the hotel, and there were children and infants riding on donkeys at a penny a ride." The hotel to which Hawthorne refers was the Royal Rock, a popular destination for ferry passengers who took a trip to Rock Ferry to enjoy a drink, a game of bowls, or a walk on the esplanade. In the late 1930s, a layer of mud began to wash over the sandy beach, and in 1939 the ferry service was discontinued. The area gradually deteriorated, and the old pier was replaced by a jetty connected with Tranmere Oil Terminal, parts of which can still be seen. Eventually, the Royal Rock Hotel was demolished.
Further ahead, the large green area is Port Sunlight River Park, opened in 2014 and built on a former landfill site. Its many footpaths meander through wildflower meadows and trees, and there are stunning views over to Liverpool. Even further upriver are the Eastern Locks into the Manchester Ship Canal.
Manchester, a city that was at the centre of the North's Industrial Revolution, was provided with a vital passage to the rest of the world when the canal was opened in 1894. It carried imports of raw cotton to the heart of the Lancashire cotton industry, some 35 miles away. By 1955, the canal was carrying over 18 million tonnes of goods every year.
Amongst the many ships that use the canal now are the Mersey ferries, operating day trips from Liverpool and Wirral to the historic Latchford locks and back. The cruise gives passengers the opportunity to experience a round trip in the same day. Cruises operate on selected dates during the summer months. Please check the Mersey Ferry's website for details. go towards Liverpool, you get a fine view of Liverpool's two cathedrals and the Museum of Liverpool. The museum is the largest newly built national museum in the UK for over 100 years. The story of Liverpool is told through displays, drawn from exhibits related to the city from National Museum Liverpool's entire collection. Visitors can explore how the port, its people, and their creative and sporting history have shaped the city. The red sandstone Anglican Cathedral, designed by Sir Giles Gilbert Scott when he was only 23, took 74 years to build, and is the largest Anglican cathedral in the world. To the left, the delicate spires of the Metropolitan Catholic Cathedral of Christ the King top an enormous and beautiful stained glass lantern, which during the day projects a vivid display of light radiating throughout its interior.
On the river, ships are guided by the red and green buoys which mark the deep water channel. These buoys follow the international maritime system. Red is kept on the left or port, and green on the right or starboard. Unlike British car drivers, ships navigate on the right. The black and yellow buoy warns against the Pluckington sandbank, which stretches right below the water as far as Pierhead landing stage. Sandbanks, strong currents and fog all plague the Mersey and make it a very treacherous river. The Liverpool South docks stretching in front of us are no longer used as commercial docks, but were once a forest of masts filled with ships from all corners of the world, including those of the Elder Dempster line, known as the monkey boats because they carried monkeys instead of ship's cats.
As we proceed across the river back to Liverpool, the stunning vista of the waterfront takes your breath away. We now attract many millions of tourists to the city, within which beats a heart alive with musicians, poets, writers, artists, painters, sculptors, designers and architects. Liverpool was European Capital of Culture for 2008 and continues to have a thrilling renaissance. There has also been a dramatic transformation in the River Mersey itself. It has recovered from being one of the most polluted rivers in Europe in the 1980s to become a haven for fish and wildlife and a focus for regeneration along the waterfront.
Liverpool is synonymous with popular culture, especially music, sports and the arts. It's home to 5 theatres, including the Liverpool Playhouse, Britain's oldest repertory theatre. It is also the home of Aintree Racecourse, famous for the world's greatest steeplechase, the Grand National. And in recent years, the city has become popular with film companies looking for dramatic buildings and locations. Not surprising, because Liverpool contains more than 2,500 listed buildings, more than any city apart from London. It has more public sculpture than any UK city aside from Westminster, and it has more Georgian buildings than Bath. Moving to the waterside, this is the King's Dock area with its 10,600 capacity arena and conference centre. It accommodates events from rock and pop concerts to ice shows and international sporting events.
To the left of the arena is the Albert Dock, the largest set of Grade 1 listed buildings in Britain. In 2018, it was granted the prestigious title Royal Albert Dock in recognition of the pivotal role that it played in starting the resurgence of interest in Liverpool's wonderful architecture. Threatened with demolition for years, it was restored in the 1980s, and the Royal Albert Dock has become one of the country's favourite tourist attractions. The large white and glass construction that you can see behind and to the left of the Albert Dock is one side of Liverpool One, an innovative £950 million urban regeneration project that has transformed the heart of Liverpool city centre. This development, covering 42 acres and utilising the existing Liverpool streets, is home to the very best retail brands, residential and leisure facilities. To the left are the beautiful buildings known as the Three Graces, which together form one of the most majestic and famous waterfronts in the world. On the right of these is the Port of Liverpool building, with its impressive copper dome. Opened in 1908, the design came from a rejected competition entry for the Anglican Cathedral. In the middle stands the Cunard building. Built in 1914, the building was designed in the style of a 16th century Italian palace, and was once the offices of the famous shipping line owned by Samuel Cunard, who operated the first regular transatlantic lines between Liverpool and New York in 1840. Other famous shipping companies followed, such as the White Star Line, owner of the Titanic, and the Blue Star Line. The magnificent liners berthed along the famous Prince's Landing Stage, which was for many years the longest floating landing stage in the world. It was from here that over 9 million emigrants passed through Liverpool between 1830 and 1890 on their way to a new life in America.
Finally, the beautiful Liver building, erected by the Royal Liver Friendly Society in 1911, is perhaps Liverpool's best known landmark. Based on a Chicago waterfront skyscraper, the building is topped by the famous liver birds, which